Okay, so today we're looking at a player called Rompuu, who I know personally. He's a friend of mine. He is 2,937 elo as of recording. We're going to be looking over one of his demos where he rifles a lot because I believe his biggest problem and the thing keeping him back mostly is his rifle. I'm not sure the role Rompuu likes to play the most, but it shouldn't be too hard to figure out watching this demo. So we're just going to be looking over his rifle primarily. We're going to be looking at when he decides to engage based off the info he has, the way he peeks things or the way he holds angles, what he does during fights, his spray control, when he taps, things like that. Everything that's going to decide whether or not Rompuu needs to improve his rifle anymore to reach a higher elo, which I believe we did. We're going to skip the knife round here. Not enough for AK here. The eco. Okay, here we go. Now we got a rifle from Rompuu. Decent util, helmet, everything you need. Team gets plenty of util as well. Okay, not the greatest crosshair placement in the world. There's definitely easier ways to peek this. It wasn't really a massive need to be so confident no one was going to peek from Asia. Not necessarily anything wrong with the way he peeks this, but not exactly the most efficient way or the safest way. There's definitely much better ways to peek this angle other than doing that, especially because you have a teammate with you. There's no need to expose yourself so much. You know, one teammate can take one angle, you can take the other, but because you both decided to take the same dangerous angle, teammate's probably going to lose this round. He does. What are we? We're probably on an eco here. Nope, we're on a force. Next round, they lost. What are we buying? Okay, AK, head armor, util. Nice. What are we against? 2 AKs, an A1S, and probably an op and another M4. Plenty of util, I would imagine. Alright. Laying up the smokes again. No problem with this. Obviously waiting for the smoke to clear before they do anything, but... Okay, first thing that we've seen. We have seen Rompuu take a duel, Asia, where the player wasn't looking at him. Let's go back a little bit. Let's watch it in slow motion. Let's really dig deep, see what happens here. Coming out, plenty of util. Peeks out. Gets a look on the player. Crosshair placement, not the greatest, too high, but should be easy to iron out. And we're gonna see Rompuu go for body shots here over headshots, which I've very strange to me, as a lot of players, even professional players, will shoot people's bodies because they don't have the confidence to headshot. And a quick thing to get around this confidence barrier around going for headshots and having more confidence in your abilities, if you're going into deathmatch, which I recommend you do this in since it's easiest, if you go into deathmatch, you're going to walk around or run around with the mentality of you're only allowed to hit headshots. You have to be very strict on yourself. It's about being disciplined into only allowing yourself to headshot people. And this shot, headshotting this guy, is very, very easy. This guy's not moving a lot. He's not jumping around. He's basically stationary. He's strafing a little bit, but should be no problem because he's strafing in your direction. This should be a very easy headshot. And there's a few reasons as to why it wasn't. The first reason, crosshair placement. Obviously a little bit too high, so when he's coming around this corner, he's reacting to this guy. He's flicked over to have a look at him. He's placed his crosshair a little bit too high here. So other than crosshair being a little bit too high and to the right, this shot should be a very easy headshot. And if you run through DM, like I said, with the mentality of only hitting headshots and being very strict on yourself, never ever going for bodies, even if you're spraying at people and you're missing every shot, doesn't matter. You need to only shoot at headshots. You want to learn, you want to instinctually only aim for heads. That's really what you want to do, because obviously headshots are going to kill people the fastest. So we're going to watch real slow. What does he do? He adjusts, he crouches, so now his crosshair is hitting him in the chest. So he's hitting one time in the chest. He's hitting for 27 damage because he's hit him in the chest and the player has Kevlar. Again, very easy headshot here, but he's already started spraying. So chances of headshot pretty low unless you've practiced transferring from bodies to heads, which is not a very common thing, but I suggest you do it because it can be extremely useful, and especially in situations like this where hitting someone in the chest, you're gonna kill them 4 shots. If you were to flick over, he's only got A1S, so he's obviously got a fire rate disadvantage, but if he were fast enough, he could definitely kill you in this scenario. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep spraying, controls it just fine, cleans them up, no problem. Definitely could have done way better in this engagement, but it's not exactly the end of the world. Okay, and he's going to lose to this guy because he has a lazy crosshair. Let's go back, and I'll explain to you what a lazy crosshair is. Alright, runs out, kills this guy. Alright, now let's have a look at some lazy crosshair here. He's going to check hut, this is fine. He's going to turn. Now, Rompuu plays a very low sensitivity. He plays 800 DPI, 0.75. It's drastically lower than basically everyone I've ever coached before. So we have what is here very commonly known as lazy crosshair. He's got lazy aim. Since his sensitivity is so slow, his swipes are so large that he doesn't really keep the precision. So here, his crosshair is nowhere near this player. Probably because he's going to look up at heaven now, because he doesn't expect this player to be here, and he's going to die for this, because what's happening is his player movement, he's moving out to check this angle, right? But look how far out he already is. He's already super far out, but he's already turned before he's already ran out before his sensitivities allowed him to turn his camera fast enough because it's so slow. So he's peaked, not even looking at any of these angles yet. So he's come out, peaked this player. He's still looking towards hut. This player's got a very easy shot on him. Now, game sense wise, maybe slow things down a little bit. Maybe that'll make things a little easier. Maybe it'll give you more time to think. But doing this, you know, swinging out before you even manage to turn is really, really bad. And you're going to end up dying a lot because of it. So this fight, right now, this player is already shooting at Rompuu. Rompuu is 71 HP. That player is 100. The only way Rompuu wins is if he flicks down and headshots this player, which we obviously know doesn't happen. So, 2 things to focus on so far. 3 things. First of all, number 1, crosshair placement. Your crosshair placement is not the best. Not for this elo. If we're around 3k, your crosshair placement should be a lot better than this. Number 2, more discipline in deathmatch, so you only allow yourself to go for headshots more. You looking at that player Asia and taking body shots at him was very poor. You should have gone for headshots. And number 3, you have a very lazy crosshair. Probably because your sensitivity is so low. So you have lazy crosshair, which means you're performing actions faster than your sensitivity allows for, which makes your crosshair very lazy and not proactively aiming at things that you should be. For example, you're probably swiping around. You probably don't even have enough mouse pad room left to even go for this player. You probably need to pick up your mouse again, so we'll see. This player, yeah, look, reacts, flicks to where his head would have been-ish. If he was standing, maybe his neck, loses that fight. Unfortunate. There was a lot of potential to win that, but we see Rompuu lose it because of those reasons. Gets a drop from his teammate. Very nice. Okay. I've got voice disabled right now, so I can't hear any of the faceit comms, which is fine. Maybe going for a B execute here, because we look like we got players going outside, maybe down secret, but I didn't see any of the smokes get thrown, I don't believe. Oh, no, the smokes are here. Okay, they did throw the smokes. Right. Interesting. So, it's a B execute, so we're just kind of chilling ramp, waiting to hear something. Teammate's going to get a pick. Another pick. Playing very slow. Definitely should be playing a lot faster than this, but it's alright. Looks like we're going to A now. Okay, general rule of thumb here. Your team is playing extremely slow-paced. If you've got a plan, I don't think you're in a 5-man here. I think this is solo queue. But this kind of situation is where you probably need to step up an IGL a little bit here, because your team is very clearly lost. We threw outside smokes, then we didn't try and go for any ramp control. We ended up getting picked a lot, so we've thrown a lot of util. We've gotten a lot of fights. Although we've got 2 picks, we've also lost 3 people, so we've got a pretty big disadvantage here, especially because we're not even on a site yet, and we don't even have the bomb. So this is a situation where you should have the adaptability to be able to IGL for your team a little bit here, because your team seem pretty lost. But that's alright. We're going to see if we're going to get in a fight here. Probably way out of this smoke. Here your teammate's scoping. Teammate's going to get picked. Okay, again, crosshair placement, not the best. Anticipation this time seems to be the problem here. Obviously, there's no way you could have known this player was here, which is fine. But again, we're going for body shots here. This should be an easy headshot. This guy's no more than, 10 feet in front of you. His back is turned. He just flicked away. He's gotten up. This is the easiest headshot of your life. But you're going for body shots again, because you clearly haven't worked in that discipline. So quite a lot of things that we're picking up on here. It's going to make you better. You do end up getting the headshot though, which is nice. It is good that you do go for the head. Very good. Even if you could have body shot him to death, I appreciate you going for the head there. We're going to get bombed down. Planting for mini. Teammates scoping lobby. Check outside. Okay, there's a lot of angles we didn't check. That's very dangerous. I guess you're just very confident. Reload is fine, I guess. Smoke the door. Perfectly fine. Good play so far. Hear him. Okay, a lot of missed shots. These shots should not be difficult for you to hit. Not at all. We're going to go back to the start of the round, and we're going to go through this again in kind of slow motion to see exactly where we're going wrong in a lot of these circumstances. Checking the angle. It's coming out. See him. Flick. Okay, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. You're shooting him in the upper chest. Probably could have been going for headshots there. So it's alright. I'm not mad at it. Your spray was fine. Everything was fine. Your peek was a little dodgy, but it's alright. It's not a massive deal. Checking outside. Look at how many angles you aren't checking. This is very confident of you. Teammate gets in the fight. You're gonna smoke this. Alright. This guy comes to the smoke. You hear him. Okay, one other thing. You are holding the angle that your teammate is holding. The angle you're holding is useless, because that guy can peek from there and kill your teammate and you still can't see it. Plus, you're both watching it and you can hear this guy squeaky. There's no reason as to be looking over there. But you were. So, this guy jumps to the smoke. You've taken a shot at him. He's moved into a pretty difficult place to hit here. So, I'm not really expecting you to kill this guy now that I'm looking at it properly. We'll resume, keep taking shots at him. This is fine. Let's see how we're going to take this fight. Tons of util. Spraying through the vent at him. Seeing him peek. Continuing to spray through the vent. Alright, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, okay. I'm not necessarily mad. He should have killed you. That CT absolutely should have killed you. It took you very long to kill him. It took your entire AK mag to kill him. He definitely could have killed you. Not a big deal. Personally, I would have sprayed through it to damage him a little bit and then backed off. Got him scared. Maybe try and force him into peek. Maybe try and fight him. Make him fight my teammate with the op. So if he trades and I hear him shoot, then that's it. I can just swing in their corner spraying at him. So personally, I would have sprayed through this vent and then backed up. Give him just a tad of damage to make the fight a little bit easier if it happens. I'm not necessarily mad at you spraying through this vent and just dumping your whole mag, trying to kill him. But in the circumstance that you don't kill him and you have to reload and your teammate misses, he has a lot of opportunity to get a pick. So, again, nitpicky, but something to look at. That's the round win. I think you teabagged him. I appreciate that. That's the jump first time. Very nice shot. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. When you see easy shots like that, when you see any shot, you should prioritize shooting people in the face, unless you're opping. 99.9% of the time, if you can headshot people, you should, if you're rifling. There's not really a reason not to. That was, although that guy didn't have head armor, it wouldn't have mattered even if he did. That guy was running in a nice straight line for you. Easiest shot of your life. Very, very easy. Shots like that should be easy. And if they aren't, you aren't practicing enough, or you aren't pushing yourself enough in your practice. So that shot, easy as pie. Glad he got it. All the smokes have cleared now. Teammate gets another pick. We're lurking outside. Okay, we're going to see how he fights this. Right, guy isn't looking at him again, right? What's he going to do? Flicks over, crouches. Nice little headshot. Okay, not bad. The first couple of shots, I'm not mad that you missed them. Those are actually pretty difficult shots, especially when you're crouching like that. Not allowing yourself the freedom of strafing away and coming back to engage him again. The crouch really made you stick in this fight. So, honestly, getting the headshot here, pretty good. So far, nothing I'm mad at. Mechanically, a couple things that you could iron out, but so far, that fight, pretty good. I like it. Checking the angles, moving really fast. Teammate dies on the site. Should wait for your teammate here. Looks like you're going to. Open the door. See him. Half HP. So you should actually be scared to fight this, but you hear him coming up. So let's see how you take this fight. You're moving. He closes the door. You spray a little, open the door again, pre-fire, and you die. Okay, so this was probably the worst fight you've had in this game so far. You never ever take this fight, especially when you hear your teammate running away. This is not a good fight. You're 48 HP, you have low ammo in your AK, your teammate is running away, and this guy has the bomb, he's holding the door, and he could be anywhere behind this door. He doesn't have to open the door, but you do. So he doesn't care. All he has to do is look at the door. You have to look at everything past the door, okay? So when you open this, he could be anywhere. So you're engaging in a fight with half HP, with like 8 bullets in your AK, and all he has to do is hit you twice in the stomach, or 3 times, with the A1S, which is super easy to use, and he could be anywhere in the room. Taking this fight was a very, very poor decision, and honestly, mechanically, there's not really much you could have done. I would say the pre-fire was not the play, especially with how little ammo you had. If you're really going to take this fight, you got to open the door, and you gotta stay where you are. You gotta check the angles. So you probably play the edge of the door. Alright, so if you're taking this fight, you gotta play on the staircase or on the other side of the door. You open it, you wait if he makes noise or pre-fires. Then you just gotta peek and hope that your aim is good enough to flick to his face and destroy him. So taking this fight was a very bad decision. We're gonna see if your teammate wins. I mean, look, he hasn't even broken the glass yet. Oh yeah, he has, sorry. Yeah, he has. Sees him. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Whoever this Kimmy guy is, not to be rude or anything, but that was the worst upshot I've ever seen in my... No, I'm joking. You shouldn't have missed. You shouldn't have scoped so early, but you did. Very strange fight to take, but whatever, I guess. You're 10 and 5, so what do I know? Not the best crosshair placement on the planet, but again, not nearly the worst. This angle is terrible. I hope you're walking back to go behind the boxes. Please walk behind the boxes. And we're gonna close the door. Get this guy open the door. Nice little 180. You never should have been in a position to take this fight. You should have been not standing out in the open, but I guess you know they've only got deagles. Nice little 180 though. I'm actually pretty happy with this. You can't really expect people to headshot, especially after flicking 180 like this. However, nice shots. I think you hit him in the stomach too, which is nice. Enemy opens, flicks up. Not a super accurate flick. You're flicking to a ramp. Work on that. Your large flicks aren't super accurate. You want them to be a little bit nicer than that, because if you did flick up and there was a player there, there's a lot of adjusting you have to do. You want to be able to flick as close to where a player's head would be in an area that you want. So we're going to flick 180 here, way past them. I think this is a pretty accurate 180 based on the kind of angle you were looking at. So full 180, nice accuracy. Flick back. You went for his head, which is nice. You shoot, you micro adjust back onto him. Just spray his body. Okay, your crosshair sways a lot from side to side. So I think what's happening is when you're shooting people, you anticipate them to strafe. So when you start shooting at them, you've built this habit where you've probably been playing rec strafes or some kind of tracking scenario like that, where it's very jolty left and right. So what you do is when you shoot people, you're going back to when you were doing those tracking scenarios, and you end up anticipating the player to strafe left or right. So your crosshair sways a lot whenever you see movement that you expect. Oh, there's a bit of movement, like he's turning his camera. I'm gonna start pushing my crosshair that way because I think he's gonna move that way. But I think that's a pretty strange, not strange, but it's not a great way to look at it, because you end up getting this kind of sway, floaty crosshair when you're shooting at people. So work on that. There's ways to work on it. When you're playing tracking scenarios, don't track things with the intention of predicting where the item that you're tracking will go. Track what it's doing, not what it's going to do, right? Which is just a mentality problem, not necessarily a mechanical one. You're anticipating people to move, so your crosshair sways around, because probably in Kovacs, when you're tracking objects that are moving, you are not actually tracking the object, you're tracking where the object's going. So then we get floaty crosshair like this, which is not what we want. Classic little bit of movement he does. First time again. Checks the angles. Again, pretty poor crosshair placement. Not checking a lot of angles that you should be, but it's alright. I think your expectation is that players aren't, especially in this elo, aren't bad enough to play bad angles. So you don't check those bad angles, but that's a bad habit in itself. You should be checking angles, and you want to be able to do it as quickly as possible. So you didn't look at garage at all. You should. Now, you shouldn't see anyone there, but in the off chance that you do, but you don't check it, they might get the upper hand because they may be looking up at silo, and you just aren't checking it because you're thinking no one's dumb enough to play that spot. So you should be checking angles that are dangerous, even if the chances of a player actually being there are low. The only reason you shouldn't clear an angle is if your teammate has already cleared it. So here, we could have died from garage. It's a good thing we didn't, because obviously no one's dumb enough to play a spot that would get you killed from there. But we didn't even bother checking it, which is pretty overconfident. So you have a very lazy crosshair, is what I'm starting to see, which is probably your low sensitivity doing that. What you're doing is you're moving your crosshair. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it builds pretty bad habits later down the line. What you do is you flick your crosshair to an adequate degree, and then you just walk your crosshair into the spot where you want it. Now, I do that in certain scenarios because there's certain scenarios where it calls for it. For example, if I flick my crosshair to a place, and I know when I walk out that my crosshair will be there, as if I'm peeking a corner, then it's fine, because I want my crosshair to be there. But in scenarios like this, where you need your crosshair to be in a place as fast as you can, you shouldn't try and lazily walk your crosshair to places. You don't want to walk your crosshair. You want to, flick your crosshair around. And you want your right hand controlling your crosshair, not your left hand. So pretty lazy crosshair movement, but it's fine with a little bit of just I guess load into certain maps where you think you do it, or go over VODs where you do it, and then go to those scenarios or play deathmatch and don't lazy crosshair. Just focus on keeping your crosshair where you want it and not walking it around. You don't want to walk your crosshair. This is more what I'm talking about. This is less lazy. Okay, and where do you actually just die from? Okay, so you died from... So you died to the exact thing I was just talking about. You aren't concerned with angles that you should be concerned with. Now, this isn't a mechanical thing, this is more of a game sense thing, and I said I wouldn't talk about them, but this is not something that should happen. If an angle has potential to be dangerous, meaning a teammate hasn't already cleared it, you should always think there's an enemy there, because you're getting overconfident. You're doing things like this where you're just believing, or you're tricking yourself into thinking that there's no way anyone would play there. Why would someone play there? I'm not even going to check it. And you're kind of egoing these players, and you end up dying to things that you shouldn't die to, like this. So pretty disappointed with that, but something easy to fix. It just takes some paying attention. Okay, gonna get 2 picks, one of them traded out, and then 2 more. 1v4. You hear this guy coming. Should be an easy shot. If he walks right in front of you, there's no reason why you shouldn't headshot this guy. Okay, no problem. He was jumping, so I can see the necessity for going for body shots. Obviously don't want to miss. Getting that pick, not the biggest problem. I would rather you went for headshots, but I'm not necessarily annoyed because it was a shot that was probably not going to happen with the way the player was moving. So body shotting there is totally okay. So these players know you're here. There's not really a necessity to be walking. Okay, we're going to do this player. Look at our spray. Look where we're hitting right now. We're hitting the wall. Spray training, my friend, is what you need. You need to practice your spray a little bit more. This should be a very easy cleanup. This guy's not even moving. He's crouching. He's a nice target. He's actually relatively close to you. Never in a million years should you miss a bullet from your spray here. But I think you do, because when you deathmatch, all you do is you run around and you tap people, or you spray like 2 or 3 bullets at people, probably headshot them. And this is why when we were talking the other day, you say, I do really well in deathmatch, but I don't do well in game. Because deathmatch isn't end game. You need to practice for end game. What's the thing that happens in game? Well, players move differently to as they do in deathmatch. People play positions. People peek you in a certain way that they don't in deathmatch. So what we have here is an instance where a player has DM'd too much and is now straying more towards engaging people like it's deathmatch instead of playing it like we're actually in a live game. So his spray, Rompuu, your spray, is not good. For 3k elo, this spray is actually very poor. I don't want to be rude, but if you are going to get better, I need to be very strict. This spray is not good at all. So the reason this is happening is because when you're DMing, you're obviously not spraying people. You're just tapping heads all day, which is good because obviously you're warming up your aim. It could be practice in some scenarios. But we end up getting situations like this where you play so much DM that when people move around in-game, you don't have the ability to headshot them. So you're not headshotting players enough. And we're getting in situations where you don't spray enough, especially in DM. So we get to situations like this, where we're just, like, we're losing fights or not cleaning up kills that we should be. This spray should be, there's no reason as to why you should ever lose this fight. And I don't think you will. I'd be extremely disappointed if you lost this. There's no reason to lose that. So far, at the end of the video, I'll go over absolutely everything you have to do to improve, why you need to do it. I'll try and get you a training routine. But for now, this is one of the biggest problems you have, is you have this DM mentality where you don't know how to spray properly. So when you do get in fights where you need to spray, you end up losing most of the time because you don't understand exactly how to spray properly at all. So let's see if you lose this. Okay, you miss a lot of shots in that spray, but you do that, you kill him. There's no reason you should be on 6 HP. That Rhino CS guy on the other team is very bad as well, so it's okay. 6 HP, grab the op. I like this. Save. Should save. Okay, you're in a 1v2 against 2 players. One of them has AK. You have 6 HP. Even if they were full eco, there's no reason to try and win this. I really hope you don't try and win this. Oh, wow, okay. A lot to unpack. First of all, everyone in this game is bad. Okay. Second of all, I appreciate the confidence to try and win this round, but with 6 HP, an op, full util, and head armor, where your teammates have basically no money apart from one other player, you need to save 6 health against 2 players who you have no info on. That's unreal that you would try and win this. Mechanically, 3000 elo on Faceit is actually not good, like, at all. But game sense wise, I'm actually very surprised. I'm very, very surprised. People are making really strange mistakes, like constantly, just very, very strange mistakes. I did not expect this elo to make so many mistakes like this. Look at your team right now. Look at your team. You have a player with a Mac 10 and a flashback. That's all he has. If you saved last round, you would have kept an op. This guy would have had AK and full util. Everyone on your team would have had full util. You've basically got a full buy, apart from the fact you've got a player with a Mac 10 now, and you've basically got no money anyway. So I actually still can't believe you tried to win last round, but it is what it is. This is okay. Right, let's go over that again. Okay, let's see. Check it. See him. You start shooting before... Okay. You shoot before you even peeked him, which means you're not accurate because you're not counter-strafing properly. That shot, not necessarily an easy shot, but not a hard shot in a million years. The player's not really moving. He's strafing very minorly. That shot, relatively easy to hit. I'm actually surprised, because it did no damage to him, and you're now on 9 health. So I don't know, like, I don't even know, like, I'm very surprised. So I'll try and explain. The reason this shot should have been easy is you had so much info on this player. You were behind cover with the ability to choose when the engagement happened, obviously unless he runs away. So you decide to peek very quickly because you want to go for the pick. In that scenario, you need to peek him properly if that's what you're going to do, but you don't. You come out pre-firing, so you're shooting too early, which means you're not going to be accurate when you're spraying at him. And we already know you can't spray, so you're spraying at a player relatively far away. When you don't know how to spray, you're moving while you're shooting, and he stood completely still. If you just peeked him properly, you swing out and you crouch, you swing out, you counter strafe, and use your first bullet at a complete stop to try and at least hit him in the... Even if you're just hitting him in the body and then you begin your spray, would have been way, way better. I think you don't have... So the reason you're a good opper is because the things that make you a bad rifler aren't applicable to opping. So I think I'm done looking at the demo. There's still 15 more rounds, but we've seen the main problems, and I don't want to give you too much info, because then you're never really going to learn. If I tell you a million reasons as to why you're losing fights, you can't focus on a million things and get better at them all. It's going to take far too much time. So main things I want you to work on: when you're DMing, I want you to go with the mentality that you're only allowed to headshot people. I want headshotting to people to be instinctual. You don't headshot enough. You've got 35 headshot and you haven't opt yet, I don't believe, which is not very good, but not the worst. So main thing, when you're DMing, you're only allowed to headshot people. Don't allow yourself to body shot anyone, unless you're spray training. And even if you are spray training, you want to get to the point where you can spray so confidently at bodies that you stop allowing yourself to shoot bodies and you just spray at heads. So maybe go shoot 5 bullets intentionally and miss, and then try and spray at their face, right? So there's that. Another thing, fix your lazy crosshair. Your crosshair placement and your lazy crosshair are a lot of the reasons you're getting held back. Your general crosshair placement and your peeking people isn't the worst, but it needs a lot of improvement. But your lazy crosshair is the worst thing. When you're flicking around, you don't flick to where you want to go. You like flick to an area within a certain FOV where you're comfortable to realign your crosshair to where you want it to be. You don't want to do that. You want to flick your crosshair to where you want it. You don't want to flick into an area and then readjust it. You want to flick to where you want it. That's lazy crosshair, and it's relatively easy to fix. Play target switching scenarios, and then when you're DMing, just flick to different angles where you think people would be, spin a 180, flick to an angle, flick to another angle, you know, things like that. And it'll pretty quickly get sorted out. Another thing is walking your crosshair, which is where you flick a little bit and then you just walk and until your crosshair's in the position you want. There's some times where you want to do this, but it's only really where you're peeking someone and your crosshair's already in the spot you need it to be, so then you're going to walk your crosshair because you need to peek. So no more walking your crosshair. You want to flick to where you want your crosshair to be and then you move, or you flick to it while you're moving and then track the place that you want your crosshair to be. Another thing, crosshair sway. You are predicting people's movement too much when you're in fights, leading to your spray being very poor, where you spray, you flick to the left, you flick to the right because you don't know where they're strafing, and you expect everything to be moving because you play so much tracking scenarios where you're predicting where the strafe is going instead of actually tracking where the object is. So you get this weird crosshair sway when you're shooting at things, which is not what you want. Another thing, fix your counter strafing. Mainly, your counter strafing is relatively poor. You don't have very good movement. Shouldn't be too hard to fix because obviously you have a lot of time in the game. You know how to counter strafe, just have to practice it a little bit more. And I think those are the main things that you want to look at. There's quite a few more issues, but they're pretty marginal, whatever that word is. So they're not exactly a massive deal. They would be nice to fix, but those are the main problems you have, and I think you need to focus on them the most, other than really anything else. Once you fix those, we can come back after like 2-3 months. We'll do another one of these. We'll see where you got better. If there's still an area where you're not very good, we'll focus on that instead. So I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight as to why your rifle isn't very good. I think next time we do this, I'll compare it to my own VOD. So we'll show a little clip of you fighting, then I'll look for a clip of me fighting in a similar scenario, and I'll show you the difference in why I win fights when I rifle and why you lose fights when you rifle sometimes. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to Rompuu, and especially anyone else who was watching this. I had a really good time doing this. If you want me to look over your VOD, or look over your mechanics in any game, or your game sense in any game, just, I don't know, leave a comment. I'll drop my Discord or whatever, we can talk about it. And then I'll go over for a video. I will try and help everyone out. So anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.